Hey guys, okay, I wanted to provide an update about like my last video that I did, right? So, I've been creating a couple of videos, one in Spanish and another one in English. I think the main idea is just to put myself out there and talk. So it's a very formal video. It's not something that I'm really planning, and I'm not really good at it. So, it's just mostly a talk and an update on how things are going. So. I was approved on April and I came here in February of this year, actually, right? Now, it's been more than 8 months since I arrived here in Spain, and I think my goal here is just to provide an update on how things are going and basically just give you a summary about my life here in Spain. Um, so I divided this video in like multiple topics, and the first one is friendship and how to meet people, the food, the transportation, rent, and taxes. However, if there's a topic you would like me to talk about, yeah, you can always like talk to me in the comments. But anyway, um, so the first topic is about friendship, and this is an important topic that I wanted to bring up. The main reason is because when someone is coming as an expat or immigrating to another country, it's quite difficult, especially if you're alone, to make new relationships, and especially for someone who's introverted like myself, it is way more harder to have friends. Now, I must admit, like I've gone to a couple of events, the majority using Meetup, and it has been nice. I've met people and I've met friends of those people, so I have been slowly integrating. However, something that I have to admit is that the majority of my friends or people I've known here are expats as well. For whatever reason, it has been the easiest for me to create relationships with expats, and I think the main reason, and this is just a theory that I have, is that when someone is coming to a new country, usually the locals already have their lives figured out. So they have friends, they already have their events and their things going on. So it's very hard to integrate. I was also talking to someone, and she mentioned that usually, especially in the Spanish culture, it's mostly focused on family and childhood friends. So being friends as an adult is a bit way more harder to integrate. So for me, it has been the easiest to come up with expats. I've met amazing people. I've met, Colombians, Mexicans. I've met Dutch, French, Belgians, and they're good people. I've been enjoying their company a lot. Um, I think advice this year is that it's full of events, right? I mean, I think the majority of the cities are full of stuff to do. However, I think the easiest for me has been going to meetup events, as I mentioned before. You just go to an event, like select an option that you like the best. They should go to language exchanges or like yeah, like talking meetings, and that's how I've been able to meet people. So yeah, I think that's the best advice I can give you, and just heads up that's not easy like to meet locals, or maybe it is easier for people, just not for me. I think the best is just going to sports or going to classes that people are integrated and they can have form a community. So I think that's the best advice I can give you. When it comes to transportation, I think that is something that I extremely enjoyed about Spain, is that you don't really have to think about it. Like I was living in Ireland, and compared to was living there, like transportation is not reliable there. Like basically, I was living like an hour away from the center, but even then, you would have to wait 30 minutes to a bus, uh, like for a bus to come, and then wait an hour for it to get to the center, and it was just too much. Compared here, that even though there's maybe not the similar distance, but quite what I was living before. Um, I mean, you can get the train, like the metro, and it gets you like 30 minutes, no more. And usually I used to walk like 15 minutes in Valencia, and it was pretty fun because I mean, it was great. So that is something good about Spain. I'm currently living in Valencia. Well, I was living in Valencia. I'm gonna tell you the story, but in Valencia was great. I mean, it wasn't as crowded as Madrid, but it had everything. I mean, it had theater, it had restaurants, it had events, and even if there were certain plays or events that were only available in Madrid, you could easily book a trip from the high-speed trains, and it takes you like 2 hours to get there. And usually the tickets are pretty affordable if you book them with time. Like I've booked tickets from 10 euros, 19 euros. So I think they're pretty affordable. I think that is good because you can literally like book a ticket, get to Madrid, and spend the evening there, and then return. And it's not that hard, to be honest. So yeah, that is a good thing. Um, what else? Rent. And yeah, it has been an issue, right? So I think I have an update. The last time that I mentioned, I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but I was sharing an apartment with people. Just because rent is extremely hard, not only for expats, but in general, even in Spanish. The thing is, usually, landlords tend to choose Spanish over expats. It's understandable because I mean they're less risky, especially if you don't work for any Spanish company. It's like very hard because usually insurance companies ask you to work for a Spanish company, and that's of course not the case. And if you are coming here as as a digital nomad visa holder, it's going to be an issue for you as well. So there are a couple of advice that I can give you. The first one is try to negotiate, as I mentioned in the previous video, with the landlords themselves and not agencies, or actually go with an agency, like directly with them, and just expose and tell them about your scenario and your case, so they can actually look for a place that fits your needs and that a place that's gonna fit your like profile and everything. So I think that is the best option. Yeah, but it isn't easy. So just be prepared with rent. I mean, take for instance, when I arrived here, I arrived on February. I stayed in an Airbnb for a month. Then I stayed into a like a studio. The thing was that, since I didn't know whether I was going to get approved or not, um, because I was in the process of getting my like papers and like getting apostilles and everything. Um, the lady that I was renting actually offered like a year's contract if I wanted to. The problem was that, I mean, I wasn't approved, so I think I didn't want to risk it. And I was overly cautious about the expenses, and I didn't want to lose my deposit if, I mean, I wasn't going to be accepted. However, if I were to come back, I would have just accepted it, especially in Valencia or Madrid, like in major cities. Rent is complicated, like compared to other countries. Not only because of the requisites, but there are a lot of people who want to actually rent. So for every apartment, especially the affordable ones, there are like 10 people actually offering to the landlord. So yeah, I mean, it's a competitive market. So if you're in a position where you're at a disadvantage, it's better just to take maybe not be as picky at first and take the first option that they offer you, at least for 6 months, so you can get your padrón or your emprendimiento. And that way, then you can look for another option slowly. But try to not to be as picky at the beginning because it's not easy. So I think this is some advice. However, if you're going to maybe a place that is not as crowded, maybe that is a bit more rural, then I mean you can have more leverage and do whatever you want, kind of thing. Um, for me personally, I was able to secure an apartment in December. So, for instance, I arrived in February, and only until December I was able to get something. My rent, like my shared apartment thing, where I was renting my room, finished in October. So during November, I changed city and moved to Gijón.
Todo mojado. Bro.
In the north of Spain, and I'm staying there. To be honest, I'm happy that I'm not sharing because I mean it isn't easy. I mean, it depends on the person, right? But for me, the kitchen was always dirty, and I didn't like it. I tried to clean, yeah, and even though I wasn't a pain about it, I think it got to a point where I mean, I mean, I would clean and it would get dirty like 30 minutes after. So I was like, why would I clean if it gets dirty? So I would just wash my own stuff. So at night there would be noise, and I don't know, like it's I have to get used to certain things. And yeah, so I'm a bit this time. But yeah, so rent is complicated, so be prepared with that. And then taxes. I have paid my first year, no, my second year PF, and to be honest, I mean you have to budget for it because it is high. I mean you have to pay for the autonomous fee and you have to pay for VAT in case your company is from the European Union. If it is not, then you have to pay VAT, but you have to pay RPF. And those things, I mean, it takes away a big chunk of your income. So you have to budget accordingly. And I 100% recommend you to use a gesture or an accountant because it's not an easy task. And I think you can learn it slowly if you want to do it by yourself. But at the beginning, I said, it's better if you set up things right with the help of a lawyer or an accountant. And then with time, if you want to learn it by yourself, you can do it. But I wouldn't recommend it to do it by yourself just right away and right after getting approved. I think that's pretty much it. Basically, I just wanted to provide you with an update on how things are going and basically my life here. I've been enjoying it so far. I mean, the food is great. In Valencia, they have the paella. In the north, they have the tapas, and I mean they're delicious either way. So it's a good option for you. Um, when it comes to cities, I mean, of course, everyone is different and everyone have their priorities and their things. However, if you're coming alone, I think it is better if you like try to set up in a city that is not very isolated. Just because it's easier to meet people. Like, for instance, I went to Gijón, and even though it's a beautiful city, don't get me wrong, the beach is beautiful and the city is extremely beautiful. I've noticed that there are not many people my age. I'm 25, and it has been a challenge to socialize as well. So I think if coming alone, it's better to. I mean, it depends on what you want, of course, but if you can, at least at the beginning, you can just try to get to a city where younger people are located, so you have more chance to socialize. And yeah, in case if you are in my situation, um, in the contrary, if you have a family and you want to rent a bigger place, the north is the way to go because rent is a bit more affordable, food is great, and it's more child friendly there, so that's good. But yeah, anyway, um, just an update, and I'm wishing you all the best and best of luck with everything.